Welcome, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, back here to the program here at MMAOddsBreaker. Getting ready to battle against Johny Hendricks, February 6th. Even though I'm in the sport, I still forget some of the little nuances that are going on so much with the sport. I was like, why does it make such a big deal? Like, you just moved up from co-main to the main fight. Like, why is it such a huge deal? And you had to inform me it went from 3-5s to 5-5s. So on 2-week notice, you're getting 10 more minutes of fight. Potentially 10 more minutes of fight.
Potentially.
So
Exactly.
your last fight against Ellenberger was 5-5s, but you ended that one first round, about 30 seconds left of the first round. Obviously, Johny Hendricks is a different kind of character, but 5-5s kind of favors you because as it gets later, John tends to fade a little bit. He tends to fall down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot. I've watched some of his films. He does fade in the later rounds. I know he's walking around. He says he's walking around a lighter weight now. I know he hired a nutritionist, and people are telling me that, he's walking around like 180, 185, which is where I'm at. I'm like 185, which is light for me right about now. Normally I'm about 190. 190,
Oh, wow.
190, 193 around there. But now I'm walking around lighter just because of the IV band and everything. Want to make the cut fairly easy. But yeah, man, he is a different character, man. He's a tough dude. I mean, he's been in wars with some of the best welterweights in the world, and taking some shots and kept on ticking, man.
And that was the thing I was going to ask you. You've already mentioned all of it. His new nutritionist, he's at a lighter weight class, or not lighter weight, not a lighter weight class, but he dropped his weight down, probably 15 pounds. It's going to be easier for him to make the weight. And the reason why, in my opinion, that he faded so much, and everyone fades. Let's make it clear to everybody at home. Everybody fades come third, fourth, and fifth round. You're in a fight. You're using energy. You're going to fade. It's just that Johny would fade more than everybody else because he used so much more energy trying to cut weight. I think we're going to see a different Hendricks when he makes weight this time. I think he's going to have a little bit more energy going late, but it's tough to gauge, when you have new energy, like you're not sure how to gauge it come later in the fight. Because isn't there some portion of saving back some of your energy for the later rounds during these fights?
For me, it's I never really thought about it that way. I just kind of went out there and did my thing and not really tried to conserve anything. That's how I train. Train with some of the, like George St. Pierre and Chris Weidman, those guys, man, they don't hold anything back. And that's something I picked up from them was, when I train 5-5 and I go as hard as I can for those 5-5 in rounds. And that's what I do in the fight. I don't really look for the knockout. If it happens, it happens, but I'm gearing up for a hard 5-5 in a round fight. And that's what I expect with Johny Hendricks, man, because he's a tough dude. I know he's walking around a lighter weight, but he's not going to be as big. And I don't think he'll be able to use that to his advantage this time.
Okay.
Before he's so massive, so big, he was just throwing dudes around like it was like, they were just, feathers, but he's a monster, man.
Well, plus now you're talking about a big weight disparity or height disparities too. You're at 6 foot and he's about 5'9", 5'10". You're right in that neighborhood. So it's tough to deal with that extra. Now you don't have the weight to throw around behind your punches, behind your shots. Like you're not able to push guys around. All of a sudden now it's going to be a little bit more, I won't say it's going to be more fair, but it's going to be a little bit more fair. Obviously coming from a super huge striking background like you do, and Johny coming from a super huge wrestling background like he does, it's still going to be a game of fruition. Like who's going to be able to put their game plan in quicker? Did you have to change your game plan at all for Johny? Like, is there a different style of game plan than what you've used in the past for this guy?
No, I mean, preparing for Hendricks is pretty much fairly the same. They just have a different side forward, which is fine for me because I'm used to guys who switch sides all the time. The guys I train with, I switch sides when I spar, when I fight. So nothing really, man. I mean, pretty much every fight that I've faced, fought so far, I pretty much prepared the same way. They all look to try and take me down, obviously. But Hendricks is definitely the best wrestler I've faced so far. And but I've got guys coming in from Canadian wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers coming in helping me. It's feeling confident, man. And wherever the fight goes, I feel great, man. I'm 33 and I want to do this as long as my body will let me, and I'm going for that title, man.
This win, how close does that put you to the title hunt? If you beat Johny decisively, where's it going to put you?
I'm hoping after, depending on how I beat Johny Hendricks, will determine whether or not I get an immediate title shot or not. I mean, the top three guys have already for the title. Why not get the new guy a crack at it? I don't think Tyrone has. I know he promised
Hmm?
the next title shot, but we'll see. Things change.
Yeah, it's so you can't make any kind of understanding of how the UFC is going to match make. You really don't.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much stuff that goes in the inside, and a lot of it's got to do with entertainment. I mean, we've seen like Chael Sonnen get title fights that he didn't deserve because he talked his way into it and did a great job in the title fight. And you've seen guys like Conor McGregor do great jobs at talking their way into title fights and talking their ways up. Now all of a sudden he's talking about being champ at 2-weight classes and wants to be champ at 3-weight classes, and it's just like, if there's entertainment value is part of it. So Tyron kind of got stepped over for a bigger fight. I thought he was next in line. He got stepped over for a bigger fight. And you look at the way that the Condit Lawler fight went, you're kind of like, okay, now I understand. Like, that fifth round was the best fifth round I've ever seen live. Like, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Like, okay, awesome. I kind of get why they chose this different fight. Do you feel like that you have that entertainment value with the way you're spinning kicks and you're high action and you're basically standing right sided, you'll switch to left, and all of a sudden you're kicking a guy in the liver and you have no idea, the guy doesn't see it coming. Like, do you feel like that's entertaining enough, or are you gonna have to start talking a little more trash?
Well, I think yeah, man, a little bit of both. I mean, I think my style is definitely exciting enough for that title shot, but I've never been a real type of guy to go out there and run off of the mouth, because I've seen guys do that and get put out. You know what I mean? Talk a lot of trash things, they get knocked out. It just doesn't look good. But I may have to get to, in a very respectful way, just let them know what I want. Tell the UFC, hey, this is what I want, give it to me, and be confident in that. And I think they'll listen.
Yeah, they seem to be doing a lot better now, especially with the action-oriented athletes. They're trying to, they're really starting to get those guys pushed up too, because that brings eyeballs to the game as well. So we're really just worrying about now is Johny, how's he going to be when it comes in late? We all know the first and second rounds, he's going to be really tough because he's always really tough these first and second rounds. How is he going to be come third, fourth, and fifth round? Do you see this being a real, you said earlier, you're going to be fighting 5 rounds, but everyone says that, out of respect for their opponent.
Yeah.
You're planning on being a 5-rounder. But do you have some place in the back of your mind like, oh yeah, I'm going to get him in the fourth, I'm going to catch him in the third? Like, I know, because it seemed like you knew you're going to catch Jake come sometime in the second round with Ellenberger. You just happened to catch him early, but you kind of knew that you're going to catch him in the second. Do you have that kind of same kind of intuition with Johny?
I do. I have that same feeling that he does leave himself open when he throws big left hands, his right hand. He throws looping punches. Very rarely does he throw anything right down the middle. He loves the backhand uppercut, but there are times there in those exchanges where he's open, man, and that's where I'm going to take advantage of it. And I feel that I can put him out. I can put a foot upside his head or hit him with the right hand, or just be accurate. I'm very accurate with my strikes, and that's just coming from years of boxing and coming up in the karate background, point fighting all the time. But I'm feeling the same as I did when I fought Ellenberger. I really am.
So you're still thinking that sometime around second or third round you're going to catch him?
Maybe not second or third. I think my accurate strikes are going to scare him a little bit.
Okay.
Make it a little bit harder for him, a little more head-on coming in to try and take me down. You know what I mean? And it's really different whenever you step out there with somebody with the style that I have. Just the movement is very awkward. And a lot of guys they can prepare for it. They think they can prepare for it just by watching film, but it's definitely a different vibe whenever you step out there with somebody with the movement and standing completely sideways and making them think, hey, I can go for this front leg because his stance is so wide. And a lot of wrestlers do. They think that all right, I can get this front leg and end up trying to take it down. But the way the movement is, it's awkward and it messes with you, and that's my job. That's how I feel I want to do when I'm out there fighting. I want to try and frustrate the crap out of them. When I frustrate you, I got you.
Yeah. And that's we've seen it happen every single one of your fights. Guys get frustrated early. They get real frustrated trying to catch you. And, sometimes it happens middle of the first, sometimes it happens middle of the second, but they get frustrated. And that's when you start opening them up. And you may not knock them out every single time, but you definitely beat the crap out of them at that point. And then they got to either go back to the real game plan and tighten up, or they're just going to keep getting bashed around the face. It's just kind of how it works.
Exactly. And I know he's put a lot of guys out with that left hand. He sets it up with his right, throws it as hard as he can, but he leans into it. He drops his hands down before he does it, so there's a big telegraph there. I just got to make sure I'm out of the way when he does it and counter right off of that.
Yeah, smart move, smart. Who's going to corner you for this fight?
All right, got my Pops, obviously. He wanted to be on, but he had to head out, man. Pops is going to be in my corner. I got my wrestling coach, Thomas Lee, and my jiu-jitsu coach, brother-in-law, Carlos Machado.
Okay. Hey, speaking of which, it's like what 10:30 almost out there for you.
Yeah, it's almost it's 10:12 right now.
What are you still doing at the gym? Like, are you? Did you still
Oh
done
man,
teaching class or?
I get done teaching class 8 o'clock, and then from 8 to about 9:30, I'm training again. So I literally just got done training.
Wow. So is that your third practice of the day or second practice of the day?
Today, this was my second. Depending on what day it is, whether or not I have a 2 or 3 day
Okay.
training session. But the reason I train so late is because we run a full business here, Upstate Karate. We've been up for 30 years and got about 750 students. So
Wow.
we stay slam, man. After school pickup, I'm driving the short bus, picking up kids from school. So it's a
Yeah. Good for
blast,
you.
man. So I teach them, and then so I got to find time in between. Though that is when I get my training done, and this is one of them. From 8 to about 9:30.
Do you have a hard time finding training partners that late at night? Because a lot of guys have already gone. They've got a full time job. They've come home. They've sat down with their family and had dinner. And like, oh, I got to go again, baby, and go get punched in the head for a little while. Like, do you have a problem getting training partners to show up?
Actually, around here, not at all, man. Because there's a lot of late night shifts that people run, and they get off late and they want to come and get a workout or so our classes are fairly big. Our MMA class is from 8 to 9, and we'll have 24, 25 people out there. And
Wow.
of course, whenever I'm training, I'll split off from
Yeah.
that and take my guys, and we'll do our thing.
Okay.
So.
All right. That makes sense. All right, man. Thanks so much for coming on here. I got one more question before we let you out of here. This fight for me is really going to be a really hot fight, super hot fight. But I've been on the internet again today, and it keeps coming up. And you may or may not know, but they keep saying that, hey, any day now, GSP is going to announce his comeback. Any day now. We just saw BJ Penn make his announcement that he's coming back. And
Yep.
And I actually already know they haven't announced it yet, but I know his opponent and I know when he's going to fight. Do you think GSP is really going to make a comeback at this point now? And how valuable is he going to be at the weight class?
I don't know. I know the game has changed. Even in the past 2 to 3 years, the game has changed. And, guys, they step out of the game. And they may even still stay in shape, work out a little bit, but there's something different whenever they step back out there in the cage. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel that he really doesn't need to.
Right.
That's in my head. I mean, he's making more money outside the UFC than he ever did inside. So why do it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're just doing it for the glory, see if you still got it.
And this is the wrong sport to do it for the glory. Go play golf.
Yeah.
Go play. Go hit baseball if you want to do it for the glory. At least you're only gonna get hit every now and again by a baseball. In this sport, man, I'm doing it for the glory. Well, why is your nose on your ear? All of a sudden,
Exactly.
It's for a long, long night. So
Rough,
man.
It's rough.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Right,
and I know, man. Sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
You see a lot of these guys who step out and they still train in the gym and they're still beating guys in the gym. And maybe that has something to do with it. Hey, you know what? I can still do this. But you got to think again, the caliber of fighters that you're going to be fighting are, going to be a little bit different than what you're actually, used to in the gym. So I think,
especially a guy like GSP, he's going to be fighting top 3, top 4 guys right away. Where does he match up with those top 3, top 4 guys? And it's like, well,
agreed.
Hendricks and I beat him, but it was a close decision. Then you're like, well, then you got Conant in there, and you got Lawler in there, you got you in there. It's like then put in Tyron Woodley. You're like, where's the space? Where's the space? I've been saying for a long time, no disrespect to him. He's not a top 5 anymore. He's left the sport. Him to jump in right now, the top 5 guys beat him. That's just what it is at the weight class. He's behind, and that happened in 6 months. In 6 months, the game changed at the weight class.
Man.
It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you guys have reinvented how fighting is done. Honestly. Because look at now how every single one of you guys fight the weight class. Every single one of you guys has an amazing 3rd, 4th, and 5th round. Every single one of you guys knows you have to bring it because you keep watching Lawler. You're like, if I'm going to beat Lawler, I got to be able to go that hard, that deep. You're chasing it, and it's just like it makes the whole weight class better. So we'll see.
Sure.
We'll see. I've been wrong before, but yeah, I don't know how he does when he comes back in. If he decides to come back in.
If he does,
yeah,
exactly.
I know. Exactly. So
well, I appreciate it, man.
You got it, buddy. Well, have a good rest of the night. Get some sleep, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one, man.
You too.